How did a Christmas dinner end with my daughter's family losing the house they thought was already theirs? Why did everyone believe I was finished the moment I stood up and left the table without a word? This is how I learned that respect disappears fast when people think the papers are already signed. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. I arrived early that Christmas evening because I always did. Not because anyone asked me to, but because showing up late felt like proving something I didn't want to prove. The house sat quiet under the streetlights, windows glowing warm against the December cold. My house, technically. The one I'd bought 23 years ago when Elena was still learning to walk. The one I let her move into when she married Caleb 3 years back because it seemed like the right thing to do at the time. I parked in the driveway and sat there a moment, engine ticking as it cooled. The wreath on the front door was new, expensive looking, the kind Marianne Kerr would pick out. I grabbed the wine I'd brought and walked up the path I'd shoveled 1,000 times. Elena opened the door before I knocked. She looked tired. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "Hey, Dad." "Hey, sweetheart." She let me in but didn't hug me. That had stopped about a year ago. I told myself it was just marriage, just growing up, just life moving forward. But I knew better. The house smelled like roasted turkey and something sweet. Marianne's voice carried from the kitchen, sharp and commanding. Caleb's low response. I handed Elena the wine and she took it without looking at the label. "You can put your coat in the hall closet," she said. Not the bedroom closet where I used to keep my winter jacket. The hall closet, guest territory. I did as she said. The kitchen was a controlled chaos of serving dishes and warming trays. Marianne stood at the center island, arranging something on a platter with the precision of a general positioning troops. She glanced up when I walked in. "Brooks, you're early. I can help if you need it. We've got everything under control. Caleb's handling the turkey." Caleb stood by the oven, basting. He nodded at me. I nodded back. That was the extent of most of our conversations lately. I moved to the sink, rinsed a few stray dishes. Marianne watched me from the corner of her eye but said nothing. Elena came in, set the wine on the counter. Marianne picked it up, read the label, made a small sound that might have been approval or disappointment. Hard to tell with her. "This is a table wine," she said finally. "It's what I brought." She set it down. "We'll see if we need it." I dried my hands on a towel that used to be mine, back when this kitchen was mine. Now it just hung there like everything else. Present, but not belonging. Ruth Calder arrived next, all smiles and small talk. She lived 3 houses down and had known Elena since high school. She hugged everyone, including me, but her hug felt reflexive, a gesture more than a greeting. "Brooks, how's the shop?" "Busy, year-end rush." "That's good. That's real good." She moved past me toward the wine Marianne had opened. Not mine, a different bottle. 2 more guests came, Caleb's brother and his girlfriend. I knew their faces, but not much else. Handshakes, pleasantries. Everyone gathered in the living room while Marianne orchestrated the final preparations. I stood near the doorway, neither in the kitchen nor fully in the living room, a space between spaces. Elena caught my eye once. She looked away. Marianne called us to the table. It was set beautifully. China I'd never seen before. Cloth napkins folded into shapes I didn't recognize. Candles, the whole production. I counted the chairs as people moved toward them. 8 chairs, 9 people. Marianne sat first. At the head, Caleb took the other end. Elena to his right, Ruth across from her. Caleb's brother and girlfriend filled the sides. That left 2 chairs. I waited. Marianne settled herself, smoothing her napkin. She looked around the table, making sure everything was positioned correctly. Then her eyes found me. "Brooks, we weren't sure you'd stay for dinner." "I was invited." Of course you were." But she didn't move, didn't gesture to the empty chair beside Ruth. Just looked at me with that expression I'd seen before, the one that said she was being patient, reasonable, generous even. Elena stared at her plate. Caleb poured water. I stood there, holding the back of the chair that should have been mine, and realized what was happening. Marianne reached for her glass, took a sip, set it down with care. "Maybe you don't belong here." The words landed soft, almost gentle, but the room heard them. Everyone heard them. I didn't argue, didn't defend myself, didn't ask what she meant or why she'd say it. I just let go of the chair and walked to the door. Elena's voice followed me, small and far away. "Dad, wait." But she didn't get up, didn't follow. She just said the words and let them hang in the space between us. I grabbed my coat from the hall closet, pulled the door open, stepped out into the cold. Behind me, the dinner continued. I could hear Marianne's voice resuming, lighter now. Someone laughed. I closed the door. My phone buzzed in my pocket as I reached my truck. A calendar reminder, one I'd set 2 years ago and never deleted. Review property documents, December 20th. I sat in the driver's seat and stared at that notification for a long time. The streetlight cast shadows through the windshield. The house behind me glowed with warmth and voices and life, a life I'd paid for, built, maintained, a life that had just told me I didn't belong in it. I opened the reminder, read it again. Then I scrolled through my contacts until I found the name I needed. Victor Haldane, real estate attorney. The man who'd handled my divorce paperwork 6 years ago. Precise, unemotional. The kind of lawyer who read contracts twice and spoke once. I didn't call him. Not yet. But I saved his number to my favorites. Then I drove home to my small apartment and pulled out a folder I hadn't looked at in 3 years. The apartment I lived in now was small. 1 bedroom, a kitchen barely big enough for a table, a bathroom with a shower that never got quite hot enough. I'd moved in 4 years ago, after the divorce was finalized and Elena was out on her own. Keeping the big house seemed pointless when it was just me, so I bought this place. Simple, cheap, quiet. The house I gave Elena was different. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a backyard with an oak tree older than me. I bought it when she was 18 months old, back when Diane and I thought we'd fill it with more kids. That never happened. But Elena grew up there, had her friends over there, learned to ride a bike on that driveway, celebrated birthdays under that oak tree. When she told me she and Caleb were getting married and looking for a place to rent, I offered it without thinking twice. They'd just graduated. Entry-level positions, student loans, rent in the city would have crushed them. Just live there, I said. Take care of it. We'll figure out the details later. Diane was already gone by then, living in another state with her new husband. She didn't care what I did with the house. The divorce settlement had been clean. She took her half of the savings. I kept the house and the shop. We split the debt. She signed papers that made it final. Elena moved in with Caleb a week after the wedding. I helped them load boxes, carried furniture, fixed the loose railing on the back deck. They thanked me, said they'd pay rent. I told them to save their money. Just handle the utilities, I said. I'll cover the rest until you're on your feet. They agreed. It seemed fair. For the first year, things were normal. I came by on weekends to check on things, mow the lawn, clean the gutters. Elena would make lunch. We'd sit on the porch and talk. She told me about her job, her friends. The way married life was different than she'd expected. I listened, gave advice when she asked. Otherwise stayed quiet. Caleb was polite, reserved. We didn't have much in common, but I figured that was normal. He worked in finance, wore pressed shirts and carried a leather portfolio. I worked on cars and came home with grease under my nails. Different worlds. That didn't have to be a problem. Marianne started showing up around month 6. She lived 2 hours away but visited often. Too often. She'd arrive unannounced, rearrange Elena's kitchen, comment on the curtains, suggest improvements. At first, Elena seemed annoyed. Then she seemed resigned. Then she seemed to agree. I noticed it during one of my weekend visits. I came to fix a leaking faucet and found Marianne in the living room with paint samples. We're thinking of redoing this wall, she said. Not Elena, not Caleb. We. It's fine the way it is, I said. It's dated. This shade of beige went out 10 years ago. It's not your house to repaint. She looked at me the way you'd look at a child who'd said something naive. Elena and Caleb live here, Brooks. They should make it feel like theirs. They're welcome to, but they should ask first. She smiled. Of course. But she didn't leave, didn't stop with the paint samples, didn't stop offering opinions on furniture, landscaping, the placement of the mailbox. She moved through the house like she owned it, pointing out flaws, suggesting changes, speaking with the authority of someone who believed her opinion mattered more than mine. I watched Elena grow quieter when Marianne was around, watched Caleb agree with everything his mother said, watched my daughter become someone I barely recognized. By the second year, I started noticing bigger changes. New appliances I hadn't approved, a fence in the backyard I hadn't been asked about, bills in my name that I no longer saw before they were paid. Elena said Caleb was handling it, that they wanted to contribute, that I shouldn't worry. I let it go because I didn't want to cause friction. That was my mistake. The shifts were subtle at first. Marianne would mention needing a key to check on things when Elena and Caleb were out of town. Caleb would talk about long-term plans for the property like they were already decided. Elena would apologize for not inviting me over as much, saying they were busy, saying they'd make time soon, but soon never came. I started feeling like a visitor in the house I owned. I'd knock before entering, even though I had a key. I'd ask permission before using the bathroom. I'd leave quickly after finishing whatever repair or maintenance I'd come to do. The third year was worse. Mary Ann's visits increased. She'd be there when I arrived, and she'd stay after I left. She'd rearrange furniture I'd bought, throw away items I'd left in storage, make decisions about the property without consulting me. And Elena said nothing. Caleb said nothing. They just let it happen. At my shop one Tuesday afternoon, a car came in with transmission trouble. A regular customer. We talked while I worked. He mentioned his daughter had moved back home after college. "Let her stay as long as she needs," I said. "Family's family." He laughed. "Yeah, but we made it clear. Our house, our rules. She's a guest until she's not." I nodded, kept working, didn't think much about it. Then I went home and sat at my kitchen table and thought about it a lot. I pulled out the folder I kept in the filing cabinet. Property deed, mortgage statements, paid off 8 years ago, title in my name, no transfer documents, no quitclaim, nothing that made it legally Elena's, just an agreement between a father and daughter that never got formalized. I spread the documents across the table, read through each one. The deed showed my name clearly. Brooks Trevan, sole owner. The mortgage history showed every payment I'd made for 15 years until it was paid in full. The property tax records showed my checking account year after year, paying what was owed. Nowhere in any of these documents did Elena's name appear. Nowhere did Caleb's name appear. Just mine. I called Elena that night. "Hey, Dad." "Hey, got a minute?" "Sure, what's up?" "I was thinking we should talk about the house." Silence. "What about it?" "We never made anything official. I thought maybe we should put something in writing." More silence. "Why?" "Because it's smart. Legal. Protects both of us." "Dad, we're fine. Everything's fine." "I know. I just think..." "Caleb's mom says we shouldn't worry about paperwork until we're ready to buy our own place." That stopped me cold. "Mary Ann said that?" "Yeah, she knows about real estate. She said as long as we're maintaining it, it's basically ours." "Elena, that's not how property law works." "Dad, please, I don't want to argue." "I'm not arguing. I have to go. Caleb just got home." She hung up before I could finish. I sat there holding the phone, staring at the folder. Basically ours. Those two words kept repeating in my head. Basically ours. As if maintaining a property made it yours. As if living somewhere gave you ownership. As if my name on the deed meant nothing. I didn't sleep well that night. The next morning at the shop, I couldn't focus. I made mistakes. Small ones. Put the wrong oil in a customer's car and had to drain it and start over. Dropped a wrench and nearly broke my toe. Forgot to order parts I'd promised would be ready by afternoon. My mind kept going back to that phone call. To Mary Ann's words coming out of Elena's mouth. To the casual dismissal of legal reality, basically ours. I finished work early, drove to the house around 4 in the afternoon. Elena's car wasn't there. Good. I needed to see something. I parked in the driveway and just sat there for a while, looking at the place. The paint was newer. The shutters had been replaced. The landscaping was different. None of these changes had been discussed with me. They just happened. I got out and walked around the property. The fence Caleb had installed without asking ran along the entire backyard. Good quality, expensive, must have cost $3,000 or $4,000. I ran my hand along the wood. Solid. Professional installation. The garden beds were new too, raised planters with expensive stone borders, filled with plants I didn't recognize. Someone had spent time and money making this place look good, but nobody had asked me. I walked to the front door, used my key, went inside. The living room had been completely redone, new furniture, new curtains, new artwork on the walls. The old couch I'd bought when Elena was 10 was gone, replaced by a leather sectional that probably cost more than my truck. In the kitchen, every appliance was new. Stainless steel, high-end brands. The cabinets had been repainted, new hardware, new light fixtures. I opened the fridge. It was full. Organic produce, expensive cheeses, craft beer, the kind of groceries people buy when money isn't tight. I closed the fridge and stood there in the middle of the kitchen I'd cooked in for 20 years. The kitchen where I'd made Elena breakfast before school, where I'd taught her how to make pancakes, where I'd sat with Diane and planned our future. Now it looked like a showroom. Beautiful, perfect, empty of everything that had made it mine. I went upstairs, checked the bedrooms. The master bedroom had new furniture, king-size bed, matching nightstands, a dresser that looked like it belonged in a magazine. The spare bedroom had been converted to an office, desk, computer, filing cabinets, Caleb's workspace, probably. The third bedroom, the one that used to be Elena's, was empty except for boxes. Storage. Things they didn't need but couldn't throw away. I stood in that empty room and felt something shift inside me. A realization that had been building for months. This wasn't my house anymore. Not in any way that mattered. They'd taken it, not legally, but practically. Room by room. Decision by decision. They'd erased me from this place and replaced me with their own vision. And I'd let them. I went back downstairs, locked the door behind me, got in my truck. As I backed out of the driveway, I saw Ruth Calder standing on her porch. She waved. I waved back. Then I heard it. Mary Ann's voice. She was standing on my front porch talking to Ruth. I hadn't seen her car. Must have been parked on the street. I stopped the truck, rolled down the window. The house is basically ours now, Mary Ann was saying. Brooks has been so generous letting them transition into ownership. It's really a blessing. Ruth nodded. That's wonderful. You raised such a thoughtful son. Mary Ann smiled. I did. Caleb's always been responsible, knows how to take care of things. And Elena's lucky to have found him. She is. They're building a beautiful life together. I sat there, engine idling, listening to her erase me from my own property. Not just to Elena, not just to Caleb, but to the neighbors, to the community, to everyone who might have an opinion about who owned what. She was rewriting history, making herself and her son the heroes, making me the generous old man who'd stepped aside. Ruth noticed me first, waved. Mary Ann turned, saw me, didn't react. Just nodded like I'd arrived to deliver something, which I suppose I had. I got out, walked up to them. Mary Ann. Brooks, I was just telling Ruth how generous you've been. Were you? Yes, letting Elena and Caleb build equity in the house before transferring it. Very modern approach. I looked at her, really looked at her, saw the confidence in her eyes, the certainty. She believed what she was saying, or maybe she just said it so many times that it had become true in her mind. There's no equity to build, I said quietly. There's no transfer planned. It's my house. She smiled. The patient smile. Of course it is. Legally. But practically? Practically it's still my house. I pay the taxes. I pay the insurance. My name is on the deed. That's not going to change. The smile faded slightly. I think Elena and Caleb might disagree. They can disagree all they want. Doesn't change the paperwork. Ruth looked uncomfortable. I should probably go. Stay, Mary Ann said. Then to me. Brooks, I don't think this is the time or place. When is the time? When you've convinced everyone in the neighborhood that the house belongs to Elena? When you've spent so much money fixing it up that you feel entitled to it? When exactly? We're not trying to take anything from you. Then what are you trying to do? She didn't answer. I turned to Ruth. For the record, the house is mine. Not basically mine. Not transitionally mine. Mine. If anything happens to me tomorrow, it goes to Elena in my will, but until then, it's mine. Ruth nodded slowly. Okay, Brooks. I walked back to my truck, got in, drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw Mary Ann still standing there, talking to Ruth. Probably explaining. Probably smoothing things over. Probably making me sound unreasonable. I didn't care anymore. That night, I called Victor Haldane. Victor's office sat on the third floor of a building downtown that smelled like old carpet and burnt coffee. I arrived on a Thursday afternoon, folder under my arm, feeling like I was about to betray someone even though I wasn't. I was just asking questions, clarifying facts. That's all. Victor met me in the lobby himself. Shook my hand. Led me back to a conference room with a long wooden table and shelves full of legal volumes nobody probably read anymore. Coffee? I'm good. He gestured to a chair. I sat, placed the folder on the table between us. Let's start simple, he said. Who's on the title? Me. Just me. Who's on the mortgage? Nobody. Paid off in 2017. Who pays the property taxes? I hesitated. I do, directly from my account. Autopay. Insurance? Same. Utilities? Elena and Caleb handle those. That was the agreement. Victor made a note on the legal pad in front of him. So you own it. You maintain it. You cover all major financial obligations. Right. And the people living there think they own it because... I exhaled. Because I let them think it. Because I never corrected them when they started making decisions like they owned it. Because I didn't want to cause problems. Victor made another note. Did you ever sign a transfer document? No. Quitclaim deed? No. Sales agreement? No. Gift deed? No. Any document at all that conveys ownership? No. He set his pen down. Then you're the owner, legally, unambiguously. They're tenants at will, probably not even that, since I'm guessing there's no lease. There isn't. So they're guests, with your permission, which you can revoke at any time. The word guests hung in the air like smoke. Can they claim ownership some other way? I asked. Adverse possession or something? Not in this state. Adverse possession requires open, notorious, and hostile use for at least 10 years. They've been there 3, and it wasn't hostile. You gave permission. That defeats the claim automatically. So I'm safe. You were always safe. The question is what you want to do now. I looked at the folder, at the deed inside, at my name typed cleanly on legal paper. I don't know. Victor leaned back in his chair, studied me. Let me tell you what I see. I see a man who's been erased from his own property, who's been treated like a visitor, who's been told, indirectly but clearly, that he doesn't belong, and now he's here asking me if he has any rights. Brooks, you have all the rights, every single one. The question isn't legal, it's personal. What do you mean? I mean, what do you want? Do you want them out? Do you want rent? Do you want acknowledgement? Do you want an apology? Because I can get you any of those things. But you need to decide which one matters. I thought about Mary Ann on that porch, telling Ruth the house was basically theirs, erasing me like I was already gone. I thought about Elena hanging up on me when I tried to discuss paperwork. I thought about Caleb making decisions without asking. I thought about standing in that dining room with no chair. I want clarity, I said finally. Then let's create it. I'll run a title search to confirm no other liens or claims exist. Then I'll draft a letter affirming your sole ownership and notify the occupants of their tenant status. If you want them out, we file eviction paperwork. If you want them to stay, we draft a lease with terms you set. But either way, we establish reality. How long does a title search take? A week, maybe less. I nodded. Do it. You sure? Yeah. He made another note. I'll send the invoice. Should be a few hundred for the search. More if we proceed with formal action. That's fine. I stood. He stood. We shook hands again. As I reached the door, he called after me. Brooks. I turned. This is the right move, even if it doesn't feel like it. I didn't respond. Just left. The next 3 days moved slowly. I worked at the shop, but my mind was elsewhere. I kept thinking about the title search, about what Victor would find, about what came next. I didn't call Elena, didn't drive by the house, just waited. On the 3rd day, a Tuesday, Victor called. Title search is back. You want to come in, or should I email the results? Just tell me. Clean, no liens, no claims, no encumbrances. No judgments, no recorded easements beyond the standard utility access. Your name appears as sole owner on a warranty deed dated August 14th, 2002. No subsequent deeds, no transfers, nothing. So it's mine. Completely. I sat down at my desk in the shop office, stared at the oil-stained concrete floor. What's next? That's up to you. I can draft the notification letter now. It'll state the facts. No legal action yet, just clarification. Then you decide if you want to pursue eviction, lease negotiation, or something else. Draft the letter. It'll be ready Friday. You can review before I send it. Okay. Brooks? Yeah? You doing all right? I'm fine. You don't sound fine. I'm fine, I repeated. He let it go. I'll call you Friday. I hung up, went back to work, changed oil on a Honda Civic, replaced brake pads on a Ford Escape, rotated tires on a Chevy Malibu, normal work, routine work, the kind of work that didn't require thinking. But I kept thinking anyway. That night I made dinner, frozen pizza, ate half, threw the rest away, sat on my couch and flipped through channels without watching anything. My phone rang. Elena. I stared at it, let it ring 3 times, then answered. Hey. Hey, Dad. How are you? Fine. You? Good. Busy. Work's been crazy. Okay. Silence. Dad, I was thinking, maybe we could have lunch this weekend? Just the 2 of us? Why? What do you mean, why? Because I miss you. Because we haven't really talked in a while. Whose idea was this? Yours or Mary Ann's? What? No, it's my idea. Why would you? Because Mary Ann seems to have a lot of ideas about my property lately. More silence. Dad, what's going on? Nothing. I just think it's interesting that you want to have lunch right after I told Marianne the house is still mine. I don't know what you're talking about. She didn't tell you? About our conversation on the porch? What conversation? I almost believed her. Almost. But there was something in her voice. A hesitation, a awareness. Never mind, I said. Lunch sounds good. Where? That cafe near your apartment, Saturday at noon. I'll be there. Okay, good. I'll see you then. She hung up. I sat there holding the phone, wondering if I'd just made a mistake, wondering if I should cancel, wondering what she really wanted. But I didn't call her back. Friday came. I drove to Victor's office after work. He handed me the letter. 2 pages, simple language, clear facts. To whom it may concern, this letter serves to confirm that the property located at 847 Riverside Drive is solely owned by Brooks Traven. A title search completed December 13th, 2024, confirms no transfer of ownership has occurred since the original purchase on August 14th, 2002. All parties currently residing at this address are doing so as guests of the owner. No tenancy agreement exists. No lease has been executed. Mr. Travan retains all legal rights to the property, including the right to revoke permission to occupy at any time. This letter is provided as a courtesy notification and is not intended as a demand for vacatur. However, all occupants should be aware of their legal status and govern themselves accordingly. I read it twice. When do we send this? When you tell me to. I folded the letter, put it in the folder with everything else. Not yet. Victor didn't argue. Let me know when you're ready. I'm having lunch with Elena tomorrow. I want to see what she says first. Be careful. She's going to try to make you feel guilty. I know. And you need to decide if guilt is more important than respect. I looked at him. What would you do? Honestly, I'd send the letter. Let them know where they stand. Give them time to process it. Then have the conversation. But you're not me. You're her father. That changes things. Does it? You tell me. I left without answering. Saturday morning, I woke up early. Couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about lunch, about what Elena would say, about what I would say. I showed up at the cafe 10 minutes early, ordered coffee, sat at a table by the window, watched people walk by. Elena arrived exactly at noon. She looked good, hair pulled back, light makeup, professional clothes. She worked in marketing for a tech company. Did well, from what I understood. She saw me, smiled, walked over. Hey, Dad. Hey. She sat down. Ordered tea when the waitress came. We made small talk while we waited. Weather, work, traffic, nothing important. Then the tea arrived and she got to the point. Dad, I've been worried about you. Why? Because you seem angry. Because you've been distant. Because something's changed and I don't understand what. I sipped my coffee. Nothing's changed. Yes, it has. You're different. Ever since that dinner where she said that thing. Where she said I didn't belong. Elena flinched. She shouldn't have said that. I told her it was wrong. When? When did you tell her? After you left? But not during. Not when it would have mattered. She looked down at her tea. I didn't know what to say. It happened so fast. It didn't happen fast, Elena. It happened slowly. Over 3 years. That dinner was just the moment it became obvious. What do you mean? I set my coffee down. I mean, I've been erased from that house, from my own property. You and Caleb and Marianne have been making decisions without me, spending money, making changes, acting like it's yours. And when I tried to talk to you about making something official, you shut me down. Because I didn't think we needed to, because you said we could live there, because I thought we had an understanding. We did, but the understanding changed. You let Marianne take over. You let her tell people the house is basically yours. You let her treat me like I'm nobody. She doesn't think you're nobody. Yes, she does. And you let her. Elena's eyes filled with tears. What do you want me to do? I want you to acknowledge reality. I want you to stop pretending the house is yours when it's not. I want you to ask before making decisions about my property. Okay, we can do that. Can you? Because Caleb installed a $4,000 fence without asking me. Because you repainted the entire kitchen without asking me. Because Marianne is out there telling neighbors you're transitioning into ownership when that was never discussed. I didn't know she was saying that. Didn't you? Or did you just not want to know? She wiped her eyes. This isn't fair. You're acting like we're trying to steal from you. We're not. We've been taking care of the place, making it better. We thought that's what you wanted. I wanted you to have a place to live, not to take over my life's biggest investment without permission. So what now? You want us to move out? I almost said yes. Almost. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the tears in her eyes. Maybe it was the memory of her as a little girl. Maybe it was just exhaustion. I want respect, I said instead. I want acknowledgement. I want you to understand that generosity isn't the same as surrender. I do understand. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it doesn't seem like it. She reached across the table, put her hand on mine. Dad, I love you. I'm sorry if we made you feel like you didn't matter. That was never our intention. I looked at her hand on mine, small, soft, the same hand I'd held when she learned to cross the street, when she got scared during thunderstorms, when her mom and I told her we were getting divorced. Intention doesn't matter as much as action, I said quietly. Then let us change our actions. Let us do better. How? However you want. Set rules, set boundaries. We'll follow them. I pulled my hand back. It's not about rules, Elena. It's about attitude, about understanding that the house is mine and your guests. If you can accept that, genuinely accept it, then maybe we can move forward. But if you're going to keep acting like it's yours, or letting Marianne act like it's yours, then we have a problem. I accept it. I do. What about Caleb? She hesitated. I'll talk to him. And Marianne? Longer hesitation. That's harder. She has strong opinions. I don't care about her opinions. I care about her behavior, and yours. I know, I'll handle it. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But I'd heard promises before. From Diane. From business partners. From customers who swore they'd pay their bills. Promises were easy. Follow-through was hard. Okay, I said. We'll see. We finished lunch. Talked about safer things. Her job. My shop. A movie she'd seen. We hugged in the parking lot. She held on a little longer than usual. I love you, Dad. Love you too. She drove away. I stood there watching her car disappear into traffic. Then I got in my truck and drove to Victor's office. Victor was working on a Saturday. I called from the parking lot and he told me to come up. He met me at the door. Saw my face. What happened? I had lunch with Elena. And? And she promised to do better, to respect boundaries, to talk to Caleb and Marianne. But you don't believe her. I want to, but I've been here before. Promises are cheap. He gestured me inside. We sat in the conference room again. Same chairs, same table, same legal volumes gathering dust. So, what do you want to do? I want to be prepared. If she keeps her promise, great. If not, I need leverage. Victor nodded. Smart. What kind of leverage? The kind that proves beyond any doubt that the house is mine, not just to Elena, to Caleb, to Marianne, to anyone who might challenge it. The title search already did that. I want more. I want bank records showing every payment I've made. I want insurance documents showing I'm the policyholder. I want property tax records going back 20 years. I want a paper trail so thick that nobody can argue with it. Victor leaned forward, picked up his pen, started writing. County Recorder's Office will have the title history and tax records. Bank will have your payment history. Insurance carrier will have the policy documents. I can get all of it. Certified copies, notarized, official. How fast? If I push, Friday. Push. He made a note, circled something. This is going to cost more than a few hundred. I don't care. Or Brooks. He set the pen down. Once you do this, you can't undo it. Once you assemble this kind of documentation, once you prepare for legal action, the relationship changes, even if you don't use it, even if Elena keeps her promise. The fact that you prepared for war means something. Good. Maybe it should mean something. You're sure? I'm sure. He nodded. All right, I'll have everything by Friday afternoon. You can pick it up or I can deliver it. I'll pick it up. I stood, walked to the door, stopped. Victor? Yeah? Am I wrong? For doing this? He thought about it. Wrong? No. Extreme? Maybe. But wrong? No. You're protecting yourself. That's not wrong. It's just sad that you have to. I left. The next week passed slowly. I worked at the shop, changed oil, fixed brakes, replaced transmissions, the rhythm of work that never stopped. Elena called twice, both times to tell me she'd talked to Caleb, that he understood, that things would be different. I believed her about as much as I believed in Santa Claus. Marianne didn't call. That worried me more than if she had. Wednesday afternoon, a guy came into the shop with a Chevy Silverado. Transmission was slipping. He needed it fixed by the weekend. Got somewhere to be? My daughter's wedding, out of state. I nodded. I'll have it ready. I worked late that night. Stayed until the transmission was out, torn down, rebuilt, reinstalled. Tested it Thursday morning, smooth as glass, called the guy. You're good to go? Seriously? That fast? Yeah. He came by noon, paid, tipped me $50, shook my hand like I'd saved his life. You're a miracle worker, Brooks. Just doing the job. He left. I washed my hands, checked my phone, a text from Victor. Package ready, come by whenever. I went. The package was thick, manila envelope stuffed with documents. Victor handed it to me across his desk. Everything you asked for. Certified title history from the county. Goes back 30 years, shows every transfer, every lien, every claim. Your name appears once, purchase date, no other entries. I opened the envelope, pulled out the first document. My name, my signature, the date I bought the house. Bank records? Second section. Every mortgage payment you made, every tax payment, every insurance premium, all tied to your account, no other names. I flipped through, saw my checking account number repeated down the page, over and over. My money, my house. Insurance? Third section. Current policy lists you as sole owner and policyholder. Elena and Caleb aren't even listed as additional insured. Never have been. I kept flipping. Policy declarations, coverage details, my name at the top, every page. Property taxes? Fourth section. 22 years of tax payments, all from your account. No gaps, no missed payments. Clear record. Utility bills? Fifth section. Water, electric, gas. Shows who pays what. They've been covering utilities for 3 years. That's it. Everything else is you. I closed the envelope, felt its weight. This wasn't just paper, this was proof. Undeniable. Unambiguous. Mine. What do I owe you? $1,200. I wrote the check. He took it, filed it without looking. You really doing this? I don't know yet, but I'm ready if I need to. Fair enough. I left. Drove back to the shop. Put the envelope in my office safe. Locked it. Went back to work. That night, I sat in my apartment with a beer I didn't finish and a TV show I didn't watch. Thought about the envelope, about what it represented. Power. That's what it was. The power to end everything, to reclaim what was mine, to force reality on people who'd been living in fantasy. But power was a strange thing. Having it didn't mean using it. Sometimes just knowing you had it was enough. My phone rang. Elena. Hey, Dad. Hey. I wanted to let you know Caleb and I are going to start looking at our own places. We think it's time. That surprised me. Really? Yeah, you were right. We've been taking advantage of your generosity. It's not fair to you. Where would you go? We're looking at apartments, maybe a small house, something we can afford. It'll be tight, but we can manage. I should have felt relieved, vindicated. This was what I wanted, wasn't it? Them acknowledging they didn't own the place, them planning to leave, but instead I felt something else, something I couldn't quite name. You don't have to rush, I heard myself say. We're not rushing, we're just being realistic. You want your house back? We get it. Elena, I never said I wanted you out. You didn't have to say it. Silence. Look, she continued, we'll be out by March. That gives us 3 months to find something and save for a deposit. That's fair, right? Yeah, that's fair. Okay, good. Elena? Yeah? Did Marianne put you up to this? What? No, why would you think that? Because it seems sudden. It's not sudden, it's overdue. We should have done this a long time ago. She hung up. I sat there holding the phone, feeling like I'd just lost something I didn't know I valued. The next day, Friday, I was working on a Toyota Camry when my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Mr. Trevin, this is Marianne Kerr. We need to talk. Are you available this evening? I stared at the message, thought about ignoring it, then thought better of it. What about? The house, and my son's future. 6 p.m. at the Riverside Cafe? I didn't want to go, didn't want to hear whatever justification or manipulation she had prepared, but curiosity won. Fine. I finished the Camry, closed up shop early, drove home, showered, changed into clean clothes, showed up at the Riverside Cafe at 6 sharp. Marianne was already there, corner booth, coffee in front of her. She looked composed, professional, dangerous. Brooks, thank you for coming. I sat down, didn't order anything. What do you want? To apologize. That was twice now someone had apologized. I was starting to see a pattern. Okay, I was wrong. About how I treated you. About what I said at that dinner. About how I've behaved regarding the house. I overstepped, repeatedly, and I'm sorry. Okay, she frowned. Is that all you're going to say? What else is there? I'm trying to make amends here. Why now? Why not 6 months ago? Why not when you were telling Ruth the house was basically Elena's? Why not when you were making decisions about my property without asking? She took a breath. Because I didn't realize how much it bothered you. Bothered me. Marianne, you erased me. You treated me like I was nobody, and you did it intentionally. I didn't. Yes, you did. You wanted that house for Elena and Caleb. You wanted them to have something nice, something stable, and you decided I was in the way. So you erased me, made me irrelevant, made me feel like I didn't belong. She looked down at her coffee. Maybe I did. Maybe I got carried away. There's no maybe about it. Silence. What do you want me to do? She asked finally. Nothing. It's too late. It's not too late. Elena and Caleb are looking for their own place. They'll be out in 3 months. Isn't that what you wanted? I wanted respect. I wanted acknowledgement. I wanted to not be erased from my own life. And now you have that. Do I? Or do I just have people scared because they finally realized I have all the power? She didn't answer. I stood up. Thanks for the apology. It doesn't change anything, but thanks. Brooks, wait. I waited. What if we made it official? Drew up a lease? Set clear terms? Would that help? Why would I do that? Because Elena is your daughter. Because that house is full of her memories. Because family matters more than property. Family does matter. That's why this hurts so much. I left. Drove home, sat in my apartment. Thought about everything. Then I called Victor. It's me. What's up? I need you to draft one more document. What kind? A revocation of occupancy permission, formal, notarized, the kind that starts the eviction clock if they don't leave voluntarily. Brooks, I know what it means. Draft it anyway. When do you want it? Monday. You sure? No, but do it anyway. He sighed. Okay, I'll have it ready. I hung up, sat there in the dark, wondered what I was becoming. Monday came. I picked up the document from Victor's office. He handed it over without comment. Just a look. The kind of look that said he understood, but didn't approve. This is binding as of the date you sign it, he said. Once you file it with the county and serve notice to the occupants, the clock starts. 30 days to vacate or you file formal eviction. I understand. Do you? Because once you do this, there's no going back. Elena will know, Caleb will know, Marianne will know. They'll know you're serious. Good. He slid a second document across the desk. This is the notice you'll serve them. It references the revocation, states the timeline, lists their options. I picked it up, read it. Legal language, cold, impersonal. The kind of document that ended relationships. What are their options? 3. Vacate voluntarily within 30 days. Negotiate a formal lease with terms you approve. Or refuse, in which case you file eviction and let the courts handle it. And if they fight, they'll lose. You have all the documentation, all the proof. They have nothing except time living there, which doesn't create legal rights in this situation. A judge would rule in your favor within a week. I folded both documents, put them in my jacket pocket. Thanks. Brooks. I stopped at the door. You don't have to do this. I know. Then why are you? Because I'm tired of being erased. I left. At the shop, I couldn't focus. Kept thinking about the documents in my pocket, about what they represented, about what happened next. A customer came in with a Honda Accord, needed an oil change and tire rotation. Simple work. I could do it in my sleep. But I kept making mistakes. Put the oil pan back without the gasket. Had to redo it. Forgot to reset the oil life indicator. Had to go back. Couldn't find the right socket for the lug nuts. Wasted 10 minutes looking. The customer waited patiently. Older guy, retired, in no rush. You okay, son? Fine, just distracted. Anything I can help with? No, just life stuff. He nodded. Life stuff's the hardest kind. I finished the job. He paid, drove off. I closed the shop early, went home, pulled out the documents, read them again, thought about signing, thought about filing, thought about serving notice, thought about Elena's face when she realized what I'd done. My phone rang. Ruth called her. Brooks? Yeah. I heard Elena and Caleb are moving out. That's what they said. Is that what you want? I want them to understand the house is mine. They do understand. Elena told me. She knows she made mistakes. She's trying to fix them. By leaving? By giving you what you want. Ruth, I never said I wanted them gone. I said I wanted respect. And you got it, so why do you still seem angry? I didn't have an answer for that. Brooks, I've known Elena since she was a child. She's a good person. Maybe she made mistakes. Maybe she let Marianne push her around. But she's trying. Doesn't that count for something? It should. Then let it. Accept her apology. Accept that she's trying to make things right. Let this go. I want to. I just don't know if I can. She sighed. Then I hope you figure it out before it's too late. She hung up. I sat there with the documents in my lap, stared at them, then I signed them. Both of them. My signature clear and deliberate on each line. Tomorrow I'd file them with the county, tomorrow I'd serve notice. But tonight, I just sat with what I'd done. The decision was made. No going back now. Tuesday morning, I drove to the county recorder's office, filed the revocation of occupancy permission, paid the fee, got my stamped copies. Then I drove to a print shop, made 3 copies of everything: the revocation, the notice, the title search, the bank records, the insurance documents, the tax records, put each set in a manila envelope, labeled them, one for Elena and Caleb, one for Marianne, one for my records. At noon, I got a text from Elena. Dad, we're having another Christmas dinner this Saturday, a do-over. Please come. We want to make things right. I stared at the message. A do-over. As if you could redo humiliation, as if you could take back being told you don't belong. I texted back. What time? 6. Please say you'll come. I'll be there. I put the phone down, looked at the envelopes on my passenger seat. Saturday, that's when I'd do it. That's when they'd all be there. That's when they'd understand. The next 4 days moved like syrup, slow, heavy, inevitable. I worked at the shop. Customers came and went. I fixed their cars. They paid me. Life continued in its normal rhythm, but underneath something was building, something that felt like pressure, like a storm coming. Elena called Wednesday. Dad, thank you for agreeing to come. It means a lot. Sure. Caleb and I have been talking. We want to apologize, properly, for everything. Okay. And Marianne won't be controlling anything this time. I promise. This is our dinner, yours and ours. I'll see you Saturday. Thursday, Victor called. I heard you filed the revocation. Yeah. When are you serving notice? Saturday, at dinner. Long silence. Brooks, that's cruel. No, that's honest. They invited me to make things right. I'm going to make things right. By ambushing them at dinner? By showing them the truth? The same way they showed me I didn't belong. This is going to destroy your relationship with Elena. She destroyed it first. I'm just making it official. He didn't argue, just said, good luck, and hung up. Friday, I closed the shop early. Went home, showered, laid out clothes for tomorrow, clean jeans, button-down shirt, nothing special, just presentable. Put the manila envelope in a leather folder, the kind you'd bring to a business meeting, professional, final. That night, I didn't sleep well, kept thinking about what came next, about Elena's face, about Caleb's reaction, about Marianne's rage, about walking away from my own daughter. But I'd made my choice, and I was seeing it through. Saturday arrived cold and clear. I woke at dawn, made coffee, sat at my kitchen table with the folder in front of me, opened it one last time, checked every document, made sure everything was in order. It was. At 5:30, I got dressed, checked myself in the mirror, looked like a man going to dinner, felt like a man going to war. I put on my coat, picked up the folder, walked out to my truck. The drive to the house took 15 minutes. I knew every turn, every stop sign, every landmark. I'd driven this route 1,000 times. This would be the last. I pulled into the driveway at exactly 6. Elena's car was there, Caleb's SUV, Ruth's station wagon, a few others I didn't recognize. The house glowed warm in the evening dark, lights in every window, the Christmas wreath still on the door. I grabbed the folder, got out, walked to the front door, knocked. Elena answered. She smiled, a real smile, hopeful. Dad, you came? I said I would. She hugged me. I let her, felt her arms around me, smelled her shampoo, the same brand she'd used since high school. Come in. Everyone's here. I followed her inside. The house smelled like roasted ham and sweet potatoes. Voices came from the dining room. Laughter. The sound of people having a good time. I hung my coat in the hall closet. Kept the folder with me. Elena led me to the dining room. Everyone was there. Caleb, Ruth, Caleb's brother and his girlfriend, a few neighbors I recognized, and Mary Ann. She stood by the table, arranging place settings, looked up when I entered. Her expression flickered. Surprise, caution, something else I couldn't read. Brooks. Mary Ann. I'm glad you came. I didn't respond. The table was set differently this time. 9 chairs, 9 place settings, a chair at the head of the table, empty, waiting. Elena touched my arm. Dad, that's your seat, the head of the table. I looked at it, at the empty chair that should have been mine from the beginning. Thanks. Everyone took their seats. I sat at the head, Elena to my right, Caleb to my left, Mary Ann across from me at the other end. The meal started, food was passed, plates were filled, conversation flowed. It was almost normal, almost like a real family dinner, but I barely ate, just moved food around my plate, watched, waited. After about 20 minutes, Elena stood, tapped her glass with a fork. Everyone, can I have your attention? The table went quiet. I want to say something. She looked at me. Dad, Caleb and I owe you an apology, a real one. We took advantage of your generosity. We made decisions we shouldn't have made. We let someone else make you feel like you didn't belong in your own house. She glanced at Mary Ann. Mary Ann looked down. We were wrong, Elena continued. And we're sorry. We're going to do better. We're going to respect your property, your boundaries, your place in our lives. Caleb stood. Brooks, I'm sorry too. I should have stood up for you. I should have stopped my mother from overstepping. I didn't. That was wrong. Everyone murmured agreement. Supportive, approving. Elena sat down, reached for my hand. Dad, do you forgive us? I looked around the table, at all the faces watching me, waiting for me to say yes, waiting for me to accept the apology and move on, waiting for everything to go back to normal. I pulled my hand away, reached down, picked up the folder, placed it on the table. What's that? Elena asked. Clarity. I opened the folder, pulled out the first document, the title search, slid it across the table to Mary Ann. This is the title history for this property. It shows every owner for the last 30 years. My name appears once, when I bought it in 2002. There's no other entry, no transfer, no sale, no gift. Mary Ann picked it up, read it. Her face hardened. I pulled out the second document, the bank records, slid them to Caleb. These are bank records showing every payment I've made on this house. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, 22 years of payments. All from my account, not yours. Caleb looked at them. Didn't speak. I pulled out the third document, the insurance policy. Slid it to Elena. This is the current homeowner's insurance. It lists me as the sole owner and policyholder. You're not on it. You've never been on it, because it's not your house. Elena's hand shook as she picked it up. Dad, we know it's your house. We've said that. We're apologizing. You're apologizing because you got caught. Because I finally pushed back. Not because you understood what you did. That's not fair. Fair. I pulled out another document. This is a statement from your mother. Ruth heard it. She told me about it weeks ago. I read from my notes. The house is basically ours now. Brooks has been so generous letting them transition into ownership. Mary Ann's face went white. You told the neighbors I was giving you this house. You told them it was basically yours. You created a narrative where I was the nice old man stepping aside, where you and your son were the rightful owners. You erased me. Brooks, I didn't mean... Yes, you did. I pulled out the final documents, the revocation and the notice, slid them to the center of the table. This is a formal revocation of permission to occupy my property. It was filed with the county Tuesday. It's legal, it's binding, and it means you have 30 days to vacate. The room exploded. Elena gasped. Dad, no. You can't do this, Caleb started. Mary Ann stood. This is insane. You can't just kick them out. I already did. I stood, looked around the table, at all the shocked faces, the outrage, the disbelief. This house is mine. It has always been mine. It will always be mine. I offered you a place to live. You took it and treated it like your own. You made me feel like a guest, like I didn't belong, like I was in the way. I looked at Elena, saw tears streaming down her face. You let it happen, Elena. You let Marianne erase me. You let Caleb make decisions without asking. You hung up on me when I tried to talk about paperwork. You chose them over me. Every single time. Dad, please. No. I picked up the folder. You have 30 days. After that, if you're still here, I file formal eviction. The courts will force you out. Your choice. Marianne slammed her hand on the table. You vindictive. Careful, you're in my house. Speaking to the owner. Remember your place. She stopped, mouth open, speechless. I looked at Ruth, at Caleb's brother, at the neighbors. For the record, this house was never in transition. It was never basically theirs. It was never going to be transferred. It's mine. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong. I walked to the door, grabbed my coat. Elena followed me. Dad, please don't do this. Please. We'll do anything. You had years to do something. You chose not to. Now you live with the consequences. But where will we go? That's not my problem anymore. Dad. Her voice broke. I'm your daughter. I stopped, turned, looked at her. Yes, you are. And that's why this hurts so much. Because you should have stood up for me. You should have protected me. You should have remembered who owned this house and acted accordingly. But you didn't. You chose comfort over loyalty. You chose Marianne's approval over my dignity. You chose to let me be erased. I didn't mean to. You did. Maybe not consciously, but you did. And now you know what it feels like to lose something you thought was yours. I walked out. Behind me, chaos erupted. Shouting, crying, arguing. I got in my truck, started the engine. Elena ran out onto the porch. Dad, wait! I backed out of the driveway. She stood there in the cold, crying, calling my name. I drove away. Didn't look back. The next morning, I woke up to 43 missed calls, 27 from Elena, 8 from Caleb, 5 from Marianne, 3 from Ruth. I deleted all the voicemails without listening to them. At the shop, I worked on a Ford Explorer that needed a new transmission. Pulled the old one out, tore it down, found the problem, a worn clutch pack. Simple fix. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts, calls, messages. I turned it off. Worked until dark. Finished the Explorer. Started on a Chevy Malibu that needed brake work. When I finally left at 9 p.m., I turned my phone back on. 62 missed calls now. 1 new voicemail from Elena. I almost deleted it. Then listened. Dad, please. Please call me back. We need to talk. We need to fix this. I can't lose you. Please. Her voice was wrecked, raw, desperate. I felt nothing. Deleted the voicemail. Monday, Victor called. I heard about Saturday. Word travels fast. Brooks, they're scared. They don't know what to do. They have 27 days to figure it out. Elena called me, asked if there was anything she could do, any way to fix this. What did you tell her? I told her to talk to you, that you're the only one who can change this. I'm not changing anything. She's your daughter. She made her choice. I made mine. He was quiet. Okay, just be sure. Because once they're out, that's it. There's no coming back from this. I know. He hung up. Tuesday, a process server showed up at the shop, handed me papers. Caleb was suing me, claiming implied tenancy, claiming he'd made improvements to the property that gave him equity, claiming I couldn't evict without cause. I called Victor. I got served. I heard. It's garbage. He has no case, but it'll slow things down. Buy them maybe another month or 2. Can you handle it? Yeah, it'll cost you, though. Legal fees add up. I don't care. Okay, I'll file a response. This goes to court, we win. Easily. Wednesday, Ruth showed up at the shop. Brooks, we need to talk. No, we don't. Yes, we do. Elena is falling apart. She's not eating, not sleeping. She looks like a ghost. That's not my problem. How can you say that? She's your daughter. She's an adult who made adult choices. Now she lives with adult consequences. You're being cruel. No, I'm being fair. For the first time in 3 years, I'm being fair. Ruth shook her head. I don't even recognize you anymore. Good. Maybe that means I finally grew a spine. She left. Thursday, I got a call from Diane, my ex-wife, the one who'd been gone for 6 years. Brooks, what the hell are you doing? Nice to hear from you, too. Elena called me. She's devastated. She said you're kicking her out of the house. It's my house. I can do what I want with it. It's her home. No, it's my property that she's been living in. There's a difference. Brooks, she's your daughter. Everyone keeps saying that, like it's supposed to change something. Doesn't it? Not anymore. Diane was quiet. What happened to you? I got tired of being invisible. So you decided to be cruel instead? I decided to be respected instead. If that looks like cruelty, that's not my problem. She hung up on me. Friday, 3 weeks since I'd served notice, Elena showed up at the shop. First time I'd seen her since Saturday. She looked terrible. Thin, pale, dark circles under her eyes. Dad. Elena. Can we talk? Nothing to talk about. Please. 5 minutes. I looked at her. At my daughter who'd let me be erased. Who'd chosen everyone else over me. Who'd lost a home because she couldn't be bothered to respect who owned it. Fine. 5 minutes. We sat in my office. Small room, cluttered, not made for conversations like this. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I messed up. I let Marianne control everything. I let Caleb make decisions without asking you. I took you for granted. I know that now. Okay. Please don't kick us out. Please. We'll do anything. We'll pay rent. We'll sign a lease. We'll follow whatever rules you set. Just please don't make us leave. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Saw the desperation. The fear. The realization that she'd lost. No. Dad. Elena, you had years to treat me with respect. Years to acknowledge whose house it was. Years to stand up for me. You didn't. Not once. Not until you realized I had all the power and you had none. I was stupid. I was wrong. But please, you were worse than stupid. You were complicit. You watched Marianne erase me and you said nothing. You watched Caleb take over my property and you said nothing. You were told I didn't belong and you said nothing. I said wait. After I'd already left. After it was too late. After everyone had seen that you wouldn't defend me. She was crying. What do you want me to say? Nothing. There's nothing you can say. It's over. You're really going to do this. I already did it. I'll never forgive you for this. I stood. That's fine. I'll never forgive you either. She left. I sat in my office for a long time after. Stared at the wall. Felt nothing. The 5 minutes had turned into 10. But it didn't matter. The answer was still the same. Week 4. 6 days left. I started preparing the house for new tenants. Contacted a property management company. Told them I'd have a vacancy by month's end. They said they could fill it within 2 weeks. Market rent for a house like that was $2,800 a month. I told them to list it at $3,000. They said no problem. I'd make $36,000 a year, after taxes and expenses, probably $25,000 net. Not a fortune, but enough to make the property pay for itself. Finally. Saturday, I drove by the house. A moving truck sat in the driveway. Elena and Caleb were loading boxes. I slowed down, watched, didn't stop. Elena saw me, stopped, just stood there holding a box, staring. I drove away. That night, Victor called. They're moving out. I know. Caleb dropped the lawsuit. Said they couldn't afford to fight it. Good. Brooks, you won. You got what you wanted. Is it worth it? I thought about that. About the empty space where my relationship with Elena used to be. About the granddaughter I'd never meet. About the family dinners that would never happen. Yes. You sure? I'm sure. He didn't sound convinced. Okay, let me know if you need anything. I will. Sunday morning, day 30, I drove to the house at 8 a.m. The moving truck was gone. Elena's car was gone. Caleb's SUV was gone. The house sat quiet, empty. Mine. I got out, walked to the front door, used my key. Inside, the place was spotless, floors cleaned, walls washed, not a single item left behind. In the kitchen, on the counter, sat an envelope. I opened it. Inside was a single key, the one I'd given Elena years ago, and a note in her handwriting. Dad, we're gone. The house is yours. I hope it makes you happy. E. I put the note in my pocket, put the key on my key ring, walked through every room, checked everything, made sure nothing was damaged. Everything was fine. Better than fine. They'd left it in perfect condition. In the living room, I sat on the floor, back against the wall, looked around at the empty space. This was what I'd wanted. My house back, my property under my control, my life free from people who'd taken advantage. I'd won.